My guest today is a guitarist from a band all the way from Australia called Voyager. They have a new album out called V, out June 3rd. I'd like to welcome Simone Dow.
Hello.
Hi there.
How are you?
Great, thanks for being here. So we're on about a 12-hour time difference, right?
That's right. It's 22 minutes past 9 in the evening.
Wow, this is cool. So we're doing it here at 9:30 in the morning for anybody listening. So
it's crazy, isn't it?
Pretty much the only time we could coordinate this interview.
Oh, look, it's all right because I'm a bit of a night owl anyway, so...
Right, I imagine. Well, that's great. Listen, this is a treat for me on many levels. One, I love the band. I love the new album. I've never really spoken with a band from Australia, so that's pretty cool. And you know, hopefully we can share audiences across the water there a little bit, which will be kind of neat.
Yeah, definitely. I always love... actually, I've never done a lot of phone interviews. I've only just started doing them more recently. I'm actually really enjoying them.
Right. Yeah, are you finding a lot of people know about the band by now after so many years outside of Australia?
It's growing, definitely. And I'll tell you what, since we've... started doing this new record and we got our new manager on board, it's just been phenomenal how many more fans we've got on board, and how many messages we've had from people I don't even know where from,
right.
saying that they love the band. So the word is definitely spreading, and for us that's awesome because it just means there's going to be more chance of us being able to get out there and tour all over the place. So that's what we're looking forward to.
Right. Yeah, that'd be exciting. So I want to do a little bit of history of the band, if we can, sort of how it got started and how you got involved.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, I didn't start out in the band. Band started out about 1999. Daniel started it up with some... I believe he started it up when he was at university, actually, with a couple of guys. Then it became a bit more serious. He got Mark DeVadimo, Emmanuel, just trying to think of everyone, Jenna and Jeff on the drums, and they did Element V, which was when it came out back in Perth. I remember watching them as a young spring chicken back then. I was very impressed, and I played in another band that used to play with them a lot, and I was always like, oh, I'd love to play in this band. They're just so, when you just watch a band and they've got something a bit special. It's just something about the music, and I knew Danny was a phenomenal frontman even back then when he was younger, so I used to love watching them. And then I got the opportunity to join them for their second album, which was Universe. Oh God, I can't even remember when that came out. I think it was 2005 or 6 that it came out.
Okay.
God, I must be getting old. But I got asked to join. They were looking for a new guitarist and a new drummer, and myself and Mark Boyne joined. And it was pretty much, hey, would you like to join the band? We are recording a new album. So I had to learn all these songs in a very short amount of time and jump into the studio, which I wouldn't have had it any other way. It was a fantastic experience. And then off the back of that, we got to play Europe, which was great, with the Prog Power Festival. And then we did the third album, which was I'm the Revolution, which was probably the album that kind of got us a little bit more notoriety, sort of outside of Australia a bit more, I think. Right. We started getting some really great reviews in Germany and all over Europe, which was fantastic. And we had a few lineup changes there as well.
Yeah, quite a few members have been in the band, I know.
Yeah, there's been a few. We had a new guitarist, and a new bass player by that point. That was Alex, and Chris was our previous guitarist. Was temporarily in the band at that point, and then obviously Meaning of I, 2010-11. And that was just when we got to actually get so many opportunities, like touring America, touring. We did Indonesian festivals, lots of Australian tours, lots of accolade in America, and we actually. America's like our second home now, so we definitely want to get back there ASAP with what we're now at now, which is the 5th album.
Right. So are we calling it, is it 5 or V, or what's the official
I was just
name?
having this discussion with another interviewer. It was actually meant to be a self-titled record. That was what we were originally going for. Was we're not going to call it anything. It was just be Voyager. But then we did a listening party, and a lot of the fans, which were pledges from Kickstarter, they all said we should call it V. And also sad state of affairs, but we have to now check Google to see what comes up as a better search as well for your records when you're on Google. So V won over Voyager. So we know it as self-titled, but it's known, I think, on all the catalogs as Voyager V.
Got it. Okay. So what drove the decision to do Kickstarter? I mean, I know a lot of bands have done it, and it's been successful for a lot of people. So how did you guys decide to do that?
Yeah, look, I'm sure you hear this time and time again, Roy. It's a hard life being an original music. It doesn't really pay the bills, and we've been pretty self-sufficient for the last 10-15 years. Apart from the odd government grant and things like that we've luckily been able to get through Australia, but it's a very expensive exercise recording a record. It's you've not just got the studio time costs, but you've got production, mastering, then you've got actually getting the CDs pressed, right. And whatever other formats you want to get. It's just becomes tens of thousands of dollars by the end up once you sort of get it out there. We didn't want to do it the traditional way and go through record labels. We're a bit disillusioned by the way the music industry has become over the last sort of 5 or so years, where everyone's making money off of a band except for the band. Right. So we thought, we reckon we've got the fans out there. Like, they're very dedicated, they're very passionate about the band, they show us a lot of support, and we already had the songs written. We thought, we're going to give this a go. Like, it could fail miserably, and we'll just have to sort of take the time out and do it a bit later, or we could be really surprised and really see what our fans are made of. And we were completely astounded. 3 days and we met our target, and I think at the end we ended up getting like 180% of our target or something ridiculous like that. That's so great. We were just absolutely just blown away by the response we got from the fans. So look, there is a market for that, and fans really like it. They like interacting with the bands. They like it that they're able to be a bit closer and be a part of it and help out. They want to help out, and it's not like we're begging for money or anything. You're getting the album from it. It's almost like a pre-order with some extra perks on it. So I think it's great.
What was the most somebody contributed,
Yeah, I think the most was to we had a couple that we had about 3 or 4 people pledge. I think it was about $400.
Wow.
To actually send lyrics to us, and we'll write them a Voyager song with their lyrics. We, as Daniel put it in a previous discussion with someone, we didn't actually think about it and say that there was going to be a limit on the words.
Right.
But we're very lucky that no one wrote 6 pages of lyrics to us, so we're very lucky. But that's the next thing on the agenda to do. And I think someone else pledged for one of the pledges was for about $600 or $700, and I think someone actually pledged that to us. So, I mean, just unbelievable. We never expected anyone to give us that sort of money. It's just, what do? I mean, you as a band, you feel like you owe them a lot. It's just, it's absolutely humbling.
Yeah, that's really great. It's awesome to know. And you know what, the internet and everything that has come out of it, some of it's been bad, but then there's amazing opportunities like that are really positive. So that's great to hear. That's
right. And I think for the most part, I think that most bands are not abusing it at all, and it's a great opportunity for fans and bands to just have a closer connection, and it becomes a very mutually beneficial relationship, and I'm all for it. I think it's the way of the future. Yeah.
So the album V comes out next week, right, or June 3rd?
That's right. Yeah, I think it's June 3rd for you guys. And I think it's June 6th in Australia, but yeah, you guys are getting it in the 3rd, so you're lucky.
Right.
You got it before we got it.
So, in terms of how you guys see yourselves musically along the landscape there, I've read a lot of different descriptions about what the band sort of sounds like, or what bands you've toured with, or where do you guys see yourselves musically, and who do you line up with a little bit?
Oh, look, it's a never-ending dilemma for us as where to put ourselves in this, what we sound like. I would say what's most commonly said is that we've always had that kind of 80s synth pop sort of sound. A lot of that to do with Daniel's timbre of his voice as well.
Right.
But at the same time, I think we've got a very in terms of like the metal side of things, it's definitely very progressive, and it's nowadays, I'd say from the last two albums, become a very kind of modern progressive sound, with in the vein of a lot of bands like Tesseract, Scar Symmetry, similar bands to that. So I think in the earlier days we had a lot of kind of soil work influence in there as well. So there's a lot of melodic sort of aspects still in there, but it's definitely becoming a lot more modern sounding.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great melodies on the album, and that's what I was drawn to the songs on this one, especially. Like the last song, Seasons of Age, I think is not something you'd hear on a typical sort of prog metal album, and really great song. The singles also, Breaking Down, and the new video that just came out, Hyperventilating, is fantastic. How did you choose those singles?
Well, Breaking Down was, to be completely frank with you, was a bit of a safe choice, because the rest of the album, I think, is quite a bit different to that song. And we kind of wanted to keep those cards to our chest a little bit, for the rest of the album coming out. We thought, well, we'll just release a single that's probably the most Voyager kind of sounding record song. So we did Breaking Down first, and then we wanted to go all out and do a ridiculous video clip for Hyperventilating, and it turned out way better than we ever could have dreamed it would turn out, working with the same director, Ben Burkout, that we worked with on the last few video clips. So that was we wanted that to be a big statement when that song came out, and it seems to have worked very well in our favor.
Right. What about songwriting? So how does that process work? Is it Daniel that starts the songs off, or are you guys writing as a group?
It used to be all Daniel. But back on previous records, it was Danny would come in with sort of 80-90% of the songs written, and then we would add our little touches, our riffs, little bits of arrangement things to it. But this time round was very different. We actually wrote it all pretty much in the rehearsal studio. and it was all very natural and very collaborative. So I think that's been a real positive for us as well. It's why it sounds quite fresh as well. It still sounds very Voyager, but it's definitely got an added sort of oomph to it, and I think that's got to do with that it's, you know, all five of us, you know, really pushing each other in the jam room when we were writing it.
Yeah. You know, I wanted to ask you, so we touched on sort of music industry and some of that stuff, but I'm just curious, what's the rock music scene like in Australia, and in particular, sort of the prog or prog metal scene? Is there a lot of that music around there, or is it sort of you guys stick out a little bit?
No, look, there's earlier when we first started, there was heaps of prog bands. Then they sort of just disappeared for a bit, and it was all really heavy death metal bands. But I've noticed over the last few years they're really starting to prop up again. Bands that have been maybe quiet of, you know, coming out with really great records again. And that, you know, there's some new bands as well, but there's heaps of fantastic music in Australia. We're really lucky. And from all sort of genres of metal as well. We've got some really great talent over here. It's just a shame that we're so far away from everything to get out there. But, you know, there's heaps of bands. I mean, you obviously know, you know, bigger bands are like Carnival and Dead Letter Circus. They're on that kind of alternative prog sort of sound. We've got another band who's just starting to turn some heads called Caligula's Horse, who we will actually be touring with on our Australian tour, who are absolutely fantastic guys and musicians. There's Terra Maze, there's Hermina. There's just, I could go on for hours. There's so much out there. You should definitely, everyone out there in America should definitely check out all the Aussie prog bands.
Will do. Always looking for more music.
Yeah.
and what about the tour? Is that already sort of scheduled, or what? Are still planning it?
No, that's all been actually just got announced this week. We are doing a Australian tour throughout July. We're doing it over the weekends because it's a bit hard for work. We all still work day jobs, unfortunately, Roy. So we do weekends, and that way we can party with everyone as well when we go over interstate. But we're doing the main cities. We're doing Adelaide, Canberra, Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne, and Perth, obviously our home city. And other than that, we haven't really got any. Well, obviously we've got Prog Power Europe in October as well, but apart from that, everything else we're just sort of trying to piece together as getting out anywhere else. We'd love to do Asia, and obviously America is very, very high on the priority for us to get back to. What are the odds of that happening, you think? I think there would be quite high. Look, I'm not going to say anything sort of locked in place yet, but we definitely want to get back there ASAP. America's become like a second home to us. You know, you treat us like royalty over there. I mean, we just absolutely astounded with the response we got when we did, you know, the Prog Power Festival and then the Rhapsody of Fire tour. It was just unbelievable, the response we got. And a lot of the Kickstarters were from America as well. Okay. We want to get back there and play for you guys again. And this time, not just North America. We'd love to get, you know, all over. Well, we hope to see you guys. Simone, thanks so much for the interview. It was a real pleasure to speak with you, and speaking to a band from Australia is always a treat for me as well. Not something I would get to do all the time. I think the album's amazing. Anybody that hasn't heard it yet, I would highly recommend picking it up because it's fantastic. Comes out next week. And listen, hopefully we'll get to see you here. If not, I wish you all the success in the world with the new record. Thanks a lot, Roy. And yeah, if we when we get back, well, I'm not going to say if, I'm going to say when we get back right. over there, make sure you come up and say hello and we can have a beer. I will do my best. All right, take it easy. Thank you. Take care. Bye. Bye. Thanks to Simone for the interview. We're going to close with a track off of V called Hyperventilating. For more information and upcoming interviews, please check theprogreport.com. Thanks.